Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be life purpose. Well, I've got an email here from a guy who has basically, since he was a kid, he's been involved in competing at the highest level in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Well, he had a career-ending shoulder injury, and now he's kind of like, what the fuck do I do with my life now? Everything he's ever done has been about doing jiu-jitsu. So his family obviously wants him to go into the medical field and do things that he really doesn't want to do. And so he just feels completely lost. What I love about this email is that a lot of guys that are professional athletes, especially guys that are in NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, it's like their whole lives are dedicated to the sport. And then eventually when they retire, they're like, what the hell do I do with my life now? That's basically where this guy is at. He's out of the sport physically, and it's the only thing he's ever really loved. Now he's like, what do I do with my life now? So I got a quote that I wrote, and we're going to go through his email and see what we can do to help him get his life back on track. Because right now, he's trying to live his life according to other people's expectations and please everybody else, and all he's doing is make himself absolutely fucking miserable. In the meantime, life is just continuing to roll on by. He doesn't feel like he's going anywhere, kind of like a ship without a rudder. So the quote says, your true purpose and calling in life tends to evolve as you gain more experience and immerse yourself in doing what you love. In order to feel truly fulfilled in life, you must be able to consistently, week in and week out, spend your time doing the things you most love and enjoy doing. What kind of work would you do if you did not need to work for a living? Every professional athlete and person who does physically demanding work will eventually hit the wall and be physically unable to continue performing at the same level. One of our core human needs is to always be growing and expanding beyond our current capabilities. Always be thinking about your next step in personal evolution. Once you have mastered something, the next natural progression is to help others to master and achieve the same level of proficiency, much like a parent seeks to enable their child to become better than they were at everything that is important to them. So with those thoughts in mind, let's go through his email. Hey coach, my name is Bob, and I am half German and half Bolivian. I am reading your book over and over, and I want to thank you for the help and value you have added to my life. Well, you're welcome. And for those of you that haven't started reading the book yet, you can go to my website, subscribe to the email newsletter, and you can read it for free. Then you can buy a paperback or a Kindle, or if you're so inclined, you can go to audible.com and sign up for an audible.com membership and get my book for free in the free trial. Can't get any more low risk than that. Might as well start learning the basic fundamentals of the things I talk about in these videos. I'm in a very unusual situation right now, and I want your opinion for a correct decision. Long story short, since I was a boy, I competed in a martial art called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the highest level. I traveled all over Europe competing. I had the potential, the talent, the discipline to become a professional since everything in my life was about Jiu-Jitsu. I loved it more than anything and was the best at it. Well, looking at that statement, if you love jiu-jitsu more than everything and than anything else you can think of, because I talk about this a lot with clients that are struggling. I've talked to clients sometimes very successful in business or private practice or in their career, and they've kind of hit the wall. They're not really enjoying the work. A lot of times after we go through what they're doing and we go through their driving force needs, and by my asking them questions, what do they really truly love? In other words, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you hate it, can't stand it, 10 being you absolutely love it and would do it for free if you didn't have to work for a living, what do you love to do in life? Not what you like to do, but what do you love? Everything that you put on that list has got to be a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, because if you start putting things on your list that you just like to do, you're wasting your time. And the reason you're wasting your time is because if you don't love something, if you're not absolutely committed to it, you won't suffer for it. You won't work hard enough to learn it and to become a master at it. And obviously this guy became really good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because he fucking loved it. Just like he says, I loved it more than anything and was the best at it. 1 month before moving to the States to build a life out of it, I broke my shoulder. I cannot compete at the same level again as it will break again, causing a worse injury. So if I were doing a phone session, I'd be asking you questions like, okay, well, what do you love about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? What is so awesome about it? What is it that just fucking lights you up? Tell me what you love. And then I'm gonna ask them other questions about what else do you love? And usually most people, it takes anywhere from, depending on how many limiting beliefs they got in the way and whatever story they've invented to get in the way of them doing what they want, usually within 15 minutes to a half hour, I can get people to really open up and start telling me all the things they love to do. And eventually, they run out of things that they love to do. And the average person has a list of between 5 to 15 things that they really, truly love. And beyond that, they can't come up with anything else. Now, they can come up with a bunch of things they like, but the whole point is we got to get the core needs, the things that are most important to you, the things you most love, enjoy doing in life. And that's why it's important to write all those down on paper. If it ain't a 10, if it's the kind of thing you wouldn't do for free if you didn't have to work, but you just because you love doing it and immersing yourself in it, it doesn't belong in your list because it'll take you in the wrong direction. And then once you have a list, then the idea is to line up some kind of career or business or career path that will enable you to have the life and lifestyle where you can do everything that you love. So if you got 10 things on your list that you absolutely love to do more than anything, and your current job, career, and lifestyle only affords you the ability to do half those, every day you get up, you're going to feel like something's missing. You're going to feel like you're not doing what you were put in the earth to do. But if 5 or 6 of the things that are on the list are things you do day in and day out in your job, and the other 4 or 5 that are on your list are things that you get to do in your lifestyle, you're going to feel like you're doing what you're put on this earth to do. That's going to make you really happy. That's going to make you feel fulfilled. Because success is making progress. And being happy is a direct result of feeling like you're making progress towards achieving your goals and your ideal life and lifestyle. So he says, this was 2 years ago that I had my shoulder injury, and since that day, I have no purpose, no direction, or place where I belong in life. I am lost like never before, and I live in Germany now. Since my family lives in Bolivia, I always thought that it would be great to move to them and study in Bolivia, as we always had a wonderful home, a beautiful, huge, tight family. Sincerely, it is a paradise to me, as we were all really close. You mean like the beach back here? It's fucking, I get it. I love warm weather, the ocean, palm trees, the beach. This is why I live on the beach. It helps keep me in a peaceful and relaxed state. And especially working on my second book. I mean, what better place to be than on the beach to work at that? I mean, what do you have to be stressed about? Maybe sometimes when it rains, it's like. So the idea is that you're living in a country you don't really want to live at, and you're focusing on going to school, but the only reason you should be getting a college degree in anything or going to a trade school is because that degree or that trade school is going to give you the skills, the tools, and help you develop the talents so you can go out and get the job or career that you want. If you're just going to school for the sake of going to school, you're wasting your fucking time. So that obviously is something I'm pointing out to you. The only problem is that educational costs are very high. The only option that I have is to study at the public university doing a subject that I know is not for me, medicine. There's no point in getting a degree in medicine if you don't, because if you don't love it, there's a really good chance, especially as you get further into your medical degree and eventually if you're going to be a doctor into your residency, you're not going to love it. You're not going to work hard enough when things get really difficult. In other words, you're not going to be willing to suffer for medicine like you were willing to suffer for jiu-jitsu. And obviously jiu-jitsu is very physically demanding, especially when you're competing at the highest level. But you were willing to do it, obviously. And if you're it's obvious that if your shoulder had been able to recover and it would have been a big deal, you'd still be competing. My family wants to do that since they supported me at everything that I did. In Germany, though, I can study for free, but not everything I want. Well, again, the only reason you should be in Germany is because you're going to school for a degree that's going to help you do something you really love in life. If you're going there just for medical to please your parents or your family, at some point you'll probably just end up dropping out, because a lot of people do that. A lot of people drop out when they go to college because they're not committed to what they're doing. They won't suffer for it. As time passed, my parents and I started getting into fights and arguments as I was really frustrated, not knowing what to do with my life, and it wasn't healthy. I was doing something that I wasn't sure about. It came to the point where I got sick of all these sleepless nights and drama and pain that I moved to Germany about a month ago. To be honest, I never wanted to be here since I was unhappy in this country as fuck. Well, how are you going to have a great life and lifestyle when you're living somewhere that sucks? How are you going to... You're not going to be as attractive to women as you could be if you're not living someplace where you're not absolutely in love with where you're living. So you got to ask yourself, where do I want to live? Obviously, it sounds like you really want to be back in Bolivia. The only times that I was really alive was when I trained. Now, I don't have jiu-jitsu anymore, and I just exist. I'm lonely as fuck. I have no friends. It's cold and dark, especially in winter. Yeah, I've been to Europe. Europe's cold as fuck in the winter, especially Northern Europe. Man, I miss my family and friends, and I don't know where to go or what to do. What is your opinion on all this? Please help me find my path again and take the correct decision. So, obviously we know you love jiu-jitsu, and we know you love Bolivia and being close to your family. The only thing that's missing is immersing yourself in something you love. So, after you sit down and you work on coming up with your list of everything that you love to do, like I said, right in your email, nothing sets you alive like jiu-jitsu does. So maybe you should be doing something like coaching or training. That's why you see, or commentary even. That's why you see a lot of guys that from the NFL or the NBA or Major League Baseball, a lot of them go off and do other things, but the ones who really love it, the ones who are really passionate about it, they become sports commentators. Some of them become coaches. If you notice in the NFL, some of the best coaches are guys that used to be former quarterbacks. Isn't that interesting? Because what does a former quarterback do? He's basically the leader of the team in the offense. Because it doesn't matter how great your defense is, if your offense can't score, you're not going to be very good. So think about things from that perspective. Maybe you should get into teaching jiu-jitsu. Maybe you should go and talk to some of the Gracie family and ask them. Maybe having your own dojo someday and teaching jiu-jitsu. If you love jiu-jitsu more than anything, you have to continue to be involved in it some way, even if it's just working at a teaching jiu-jitsu. But again, like I said, I'm not talking to you, so there's no way for me to ask these questions and get feedback from you, but these are the kinds of questions you need to ask yourself. If the only reason you're in Germany is because the schooling is cheaper, but you're going to school for a degree in something you don't even want to do, the chances you even finishing that degree are slim to none. Maybe if you're going to go into jiu-jitsu, a degree maybe in business, how to run a business. Especially if you're going to have your own organization where you train other people in jiu-jitsu. That's something that you've got. Only you can answer those questions. Only you know what's in your heart. And it's like Tom Brady. I like to talk about him a lot. The NFL quarterback for the New England Patriots. I've seen him in interviews. He's like, there's nothing I love more than football. And that's why he takes unbelievable care of himself. That's why he's really anal about his diet. It's like during the season, he's in bed every night by 8 p.m. because he wants to play into his early to mid 40s. So 42, 45, he wants to at least play until then. So he's doing everything he can to facilitate keeping his body in the best shape possible, because he's like, I don't know what else I would do. And if I was a betting man, someday when he finally finishes his career, maybe he goes into broadcasting, maybe he goes into coaching, maybe he becomes a quarterback coach, maybe he goes and works in the front office and works for an owner. I mean, you look at John Elway, who was a Super Bowl winning quarterback for the Denver Broncos. He was a quarterback, and now he's head of the organization, and he's taken them to 2 Super Bowls. One of them, they won. When you love something and you just can't think of anything else, you have to find a way to be involved in it. Jiu-jitsu and competing is just one aspect of the industry, of the martial arts MMA industry. So there's all kinds of other careers that you can go into. If you can't compete on the mat, maybe you can train, maybe you can teach, maybe you can run clubs, maybe you can get involved in the organization, running competitions. You got to ask yourselves, what do you love to do? If you're more of a leader type person, you like to coach, you like to mentor, maybe being a coach or a mentor. Or maybe you have a natural talent for management and leading other people and running organizations. So maybe a degree in something like business management or entrepreneurship or something like that might be a better degree to get to complement your experience. Or maybe not getting a degree at all and just working as a trainer and immersing yourself in jiu-jitsu and teaching what you know and mentoring that next group of people that are coming up. But again, these are only questions that you can answer in your heart, but that's what I would focus on. I mean, living in Germany, it's like, and if you come to your family and you tell them, I've made this list and this is what I want to do, this is what I love more than anything, and I need your support. I don't want to live in Germany. I fucking hate it there. I don't want to major in the medical field. And as long as you're passionate and you believe in what you're doing, I'm sure they'll support you, because obviously they want the best for you. They care about you. They love you. Obviously, you said yourself that you had a very tight family and they always supported you in jiu-jitsu. But the problem is you just haven't made either a lateral move or a move into something, maybe a side type of business or an industry that runs parallel to the jiu-jitsu industry. I mean, you look at somebody like Joe Rogan, who does a lot of the MMA commentary for the fights. He also trains. He loves MMA. He loves to do the commentary. He's not out in the mat competing, because obviously every athlete is going to hit, just like I said in the quote in the beginning of the video, is going to hit the wall at some point. And you got to think about, what are you going to do after you hit the wall physically? Well, you're at that point. You've hit the wall physically and you no longer can compete, but I don't see why you can't train. If you've ever watched any of the videos that the Gracie brothers do on YouTube, it's all about going in slow motion, managing the distance, taking your time, not really overexerting yourself like you would in a competition to just beat the other person into submission or beat them into a pole. So maybe training would be something that, but who knows? I'm not a doctor. I don't know the extent of your shoulder injury. Maybe you're not able to do jiu-jitsu at all in any way at this point in your life. So, like I said, I don't know what your physical limitations are. I just know that you can't compete. So you got to figure out if jiu-jitsu is the one thing you love more than anything. There's literally thousands of other careers that you could get into in the industry and do. It's just a matter of figuring out, making a list of everything that you love to do in life, and then matching those things that you love to do, your driving force needs that you love to do in that piece of paper, up with whatever the job description entails, whatever the day-to-day activities are in that particular field or industry. And if it requires some kind of training or some kind of certificate or maybe some kind of college degree, that's what you go to school for, because that's going to make you feel alive. If you're going to school for something that is that you absolutely love, it's just why I finally finished my degree in construction management, because I love building. I love taking things apart. I love building things. I love scheduling things out. I love understanding how things work. And the reason I continued with it is I couldn't find anything else that I loved more than that, even though I tried a bunch of different things when I was in my 20s, when I was still going to school. And that's why I stuck with it. I was willing to suffer for it, even though I hated going to school all the time. But I needed that degree to get my general contractor's license, to eventually start my own company. So it was necessary. So therefore, I had an emotionally compelling reason why I had to get a Bachelor of Science in Construction Management. And that's why I was willing to suffer for it, as opposed to just, if I'd have been majoring in something else to please my parents or my family, I would have eventually dropped out because I wasn't willing to suffer for it. Definitely something to think about. So if you're in a similar situation and you'd like to get my help personally to help you with your career path, maybe it's changing, maybe you just kind of feel like you hit the wall, maybe physically or metaphorically, you're just not getting up every day going, I just don't have the same internal enthusiasm for what I'm doing now that I used to, and I need to do something else, but I'm not really sure what that is. And I can help you by asking a series of questions, get past the story that you're telling yourself that's getting in the way of you taking the action that you need to take to move you in the direction that you need to move in. So you can go to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book whichever coaching option works for you. And I will talk to you soon.